Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another night of Skytear. Tonight we have a great matchup for you. We have the Skytear World Qualifier, the blue player being Eric, the red player being Clinton, and in the booth with me tonight, we have a very, very special guest. First time in the booth, we have Clinton's better half, Brandy. Welcome to the booth, Brandy.
Hello, Ian. I'm so glad to be with you tonight.
We are going to have a lot of fun. So, tell me a little bit about your Skytear background. What have you been doing in the Skytear world besides cheering Clinton on?
I kind of talk about the fact that I don't play a lot of Skytear, but I am a big Skytear fan. I watch a ton of matches. I'm on the live streams quite frequently. Painting minis is actually probably one of my favorite parts of the
Oh,
game.
nice.
Yeah, so just like, you don't have to be a football player to enjoy watching football. I think that's kind of like how I am here. I have played a few matches here and there. Um, it's a little bit of a little bit of an intense game for me to enjoy a lot, but I do think that there's a lot of great things about Skytear, and I'm just happy to be here with you tonight.
Well, we are so happy to have you with us tonight. So, why don't you go ahead and flip over the victory conditions for the players and let them start drafting, and we will get started. So, everybody out there, Eric was the higher seed going into this match. So, he elected to bring his outsider to the game, and he brought the terror of the Endless Night. And Clinton decided to be the first player.
Yeah, so it looks like we have Onslaught, which again is defeat any 3 enemy heroes. We have the Tamer, which is defeat any 2 enemy heroes using an outsider, and also Invasion, which is starting from the second turn. You have 2 control tokens adjacent to the enemy towers or nexus at the end of the turn. So
Awesome.
this looks pretty good for both players here. It looks like Clinton definitely has, since he tends to play a more aggro kill deck, he's got a couple of win conditions, probably Onslaught being best case for him. And then Eric, he definitely plays a very aggro push deck. So
Yeah. Yeah, this is the kind of spread of objectives that I'm glad to see. I didn't want to see anything totally favored to one player or the other. So the fact that we have a couple of kill objectives and Eric has an invasion objective, I expect this to be a good even match for both players. So right off the bat, we see Clinton bringing into the game Kichi as his first pick, bringing in Nalochlin as his second pick, and I think is that Hokusai as the third pick. Yeah, I think that's Hokusai. And Eric's bringing to the game Korjov, Brilvar, Freyhill, and Astrida.
all right. So this definitely is looking like it's going to be a great game. I mean, we're looking at quite a few mages coming in here from the Clint side,
Yeah, so
as we know.
it's interesting, right? He has the ability to bring 4 mages into this game, and he brings 2 of the 4. So Brady, I know you have the deck list. I think the Nalochlin pick is interesting. So what did he bring? What does Nalochlin bring to the game?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at this, Nalochlin can cast any color when he has sight of a pillar. So that really gives him the ability to make the deck very versatile for him. I think we're going to probably see him pulling a lot of regaining his mana over and over again to try to continue to get extra attack actions against Eric.
Yep.
That's definitely something that Nalochlin brings that's unique to him.
So I think one of the things that so with Clinton choosing to go first, he's going to have that flux for round 1, and I believe Nalochlin has in his deck the presence card. So
Yep, Clint's running 3 presents
yeah, so
in
I'm gonna
Nalochlin's deck. Yep.
I'm gonna bet that Clinton is gonna try and pull off a flux presence round 1 to do what he can to win that outsider. With the Tamer being one of the objectives, I think it can go a long way. If he can get that outsider round 1 and maybe get a kill off with them, I think that's going to put him in a really good spot going into round 2.
I could not agree more. defeating those 3 enemy heroes, definitely, if you're getting one of those out round 1, that's definitely putting you in a great position.
So I got to ask Brady, what are your thoughts going into this game? What do you expect to see? If you were a betting woman, what's going to
Oh
happen?
man.
Total,
I
and you
mean,
have to take the fact that Clinton is your husband. You got to throw it out. You're in the booth. You have to be objective. What do you
okay.
think's going to happen?
So, I mean, we both know that this game, Eric and Clinton are both incredibly strategic players. They're both going to play to the best of their ability, and this is going to be a knockout drag out no matter what victory conditions we saw. However, oh, man, this is like a toss up. I think it's really going to come down to who takes their time and makes the smart plays and pays really close attention to, the counts and the lanes. Man, it's difficult.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think this really is a toss up. I think the first round of play can really say a lot as to what's going on. But chat, tell us what you think. Let us know in the chat who you think has this as we kick off our action with Clinton bringing Hokusai right into the middle of the dome, right off the bat, worshiping. So here's Clinton gonna say, "All right, this is my first target for the game."
It's not very frequently that we see Eric test for the dome here. So, he usually tends to stick to the lanes, but he's bringing his own outsider here. So it's definitely, I think we're going to see some things that we don't normally see out of both of these
I
players.
agree. I agree. And so we see the Hokusai go into the dome. He takes a worship action, targeting Freyhill with that worship, and I believe he did it 2 points of damage. And we are looking for that third action. It's probably going to be a lead. Yep, and there is a lead. Okay, Clinton leading from the top of the deck. So, Brandy, what kind of makeup does Clinton have in that deck? Are we expecting to see a very good lead off the top from Clinton's deck?
Generally speaking, we're looking at a lot of twos, a few threes here and there. No ones or zeros, no negatives. So I think we're going to see at least a two lead from off the top of the deck. He's usually pretty confident that he's going to get something to take that dome there.
All right. So looking at the chat coming in, I see a vote for Clinton with Onslaught. I see Invasion for Eric, a sneaky Eric maybe with a Nexus kill with a Nexus to victory. All right. So a couple of votes for an Onslaught round 2 victory. Chat.
If you, yeah, I think the chat's right. If you look back at the rounds of Swiss in this tournament, you'll see that Clinton, out of his 5 rounds that he has played so far, he has won by Onslaught 2 out of the 5 times.
2 out of 5
So
times Onslaught wins. What were the other wins? Victory
the
conditions.
other 2 were double kills.
Okay.
So I think that this is definitely something that's Clinton's wheelhouse. And then Eric had one invasion win during his round of Swiss. So other times it was left or right breach. So, or Nexus destruction. So they've definitely both got something going on here that is advantageous to them.
All right. Eric's taking off with his first activation, starting with Brilvar. He's going to take a worship action targeting Freyhill. So that's going to give Freyhill piercing for the rest of the round. Also, she's going to get to heal up a little bit from that Hokusai worship, flipping a +3, a 4 heal, bringing her back to 16 health.
That is huge.
And here we go. Eric's deciding to stay out of the dome. And Eric leads from the top of his deck. And so, what about Eric's deck when he is leading from the top? What are we expecting to see there?
I mean, generally speaking, when you're looking at a push deck like Eric's, especially a very aggressive push deck like Eric's, he has total confidence that he's throwing in a 3 right there. Like, there's no doubt in his mind that he is laying down something that's going to give him an advantage in the lane.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Eric loves leading from the top, knowing I've got my 3. Now come and stop it.
Yeah, and I just think that, with him bringing the Brovlar there, like, he knows that he's just got to survive past round 2, And Brillar's definitely going to help him get some control points, try to keep his characters alive, just like we saw there with his heal.
All right, so activation back over to Clinton. And already going into the tank a little bit about who to activate here. And looks like it's deciding to go with Yami.
Yami definitely can help him make some ground here with her move action. Definitely. Let's see him moving into the dome with Yami there, right alongside Hokusai.
Yep, worshipping on Freyhill, jumping all the way across the board, flipping a +2 using her ability. That's going to be 3 damage to Freyhill, blocking 2 of that with the armor.
And while we do see 2 out of the 4 characters in Clinton's deck mages with piercing damage, Yami is not one of them.
Yeah,
So
Yami is not one of them.
Frail is going to absorb a couple of that with her shields there.
So Clinton going with the skirmish action is this last thing. Gonna go ahead and flip on Astrida with this skirmish. Oh, getting the +3. That's gonna be 2 damage to Astrida. Yep, and Clinton using that movement to get into the dome. I think that he's wanting to try to seal this up.
Definitely no surprise there. With Eric bringing his outsider to the game, Clinton definitely wants to make sure that Eric is in control of that outsider and using it to his advantage. Can definitely cause a lot of problems for movement, doing damage with the Terror of the Endless Night there.
Yeah, Clinton definitely taking a little bit of thinking about where he wants to place Yami. All right, and that is going to be the end of Yami's activation. So we're going to be back over to Eric for play. And going with Korjoff, who's going to immediately take a worship action and target Freyhill, or target Astrida. I'm sorry, targeting Astrida, getting her ready to make another minion possibly on her activation. And flipping a +1 on the healing ability from Freyhill. So she's going to go back up to 16 health. Korjoff just moving over into lane 1 and probably going to attack a minion here. All right. And I think, this is exactly what Eric wants to see. Hey, Clinton, you just hang out in the dome. I'm going to be just casually over here, winning these lanes, making you deal with that.
And that invasion will definitely sneak up on you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, Clinton bringing Yami into the game, she has the ability to bounce around pretty quickly. She can take out some minions. So I think Clinton's probably feeling fine, as long as I don't lose these lanes by some astronomical amount. I think I can keep control of what's happening. So I think he's fine here.
And I think he's fully expecting Eric to, push the lanes and take a little bit of control over the lanes there.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Eric decided to not attack, but instead use a skirmish to get over into cover. So Eric's going to be playing it safe here, not wanting to be exposed to a Kichi and or Nalaklan attack here. So he's deciding to leave the minions alone and just go hang out in cover. Definitely playing the long game here.
Sometimes playing it safe in the cover is what you need to do to stay around for the long haul.
100%. With the damage that Clinton's deck can put out, I think it is a pretty smart play here to just hide. I mean, you're up 2 in that lane plus a lead. You really don't need to take out the minion in this case. All right, so we're back over to Clinton. Got his 2 mages left. Let's see what they decide to do. Eric's done a good job at not giving him a juicy target, so he's going to have to work for it a little bit.
All right, looks like we've got Nalaklan coming in.
We have a Nalak or a Kichi. It looked like you put the token on Kichi there.
Oh, there it is. Yep, Kichi, sorry.
Yeah, and Kichi jumping out playing a time glitch. So he's going to give Kichi fast, get him a little bit extra movement. It's a great play. So he's going to be able to get to that back row. All right, we're going to do a skirmish action here against Frey Hill. Just for one. One piercing damage.
And I'm betting our next action we're going to see here is an attack.
I think you're right. Kichi firing the attack. We're going to have a 3+. Eric may be thinking about a response here. No, all right. So we'll get a +2. That's going to be 5 more piercing damage to Frey Hill. She's going to go down to 9. And we're going to go back over to Eric. And it looks like Eric is playing a shelter. So at the end of that activation, you're going to heal up a little bit. Yeah, chat talking about, the idea of going after Frail to remove the healing is strong. But Eric's like, hey, I got the healing right now.
May as well take advantage of it while you can.
That's right. All right, so Eric's going to have Freyhill and Estrada left to go. Either hero he goes with, he's going to open himself up for something big with Nalochlin here. So Eric might just play it safe and try to stick to cover. He does have a worshipped Estrada, so I would expect to see Eric try to take out a minion and use Estrada's ability, but he may have such a worry about Onslaught that he may be a little worried at taking that extra damage on Estrada. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure, if taking the damage to heal is a safe bet right now, just because of the win conditions that we do have out right now. I mean, Estrida's ability is super great when, you may have 2 control decks going against each other, 2 push decks. But when you're facing something as aggressive as Clint's kill deck, I'm not sure that damaging yourself is something that you want to put yourself in the way of.
You're exactly right. But, Eric has played a lot of Skytear. He is one of the best players in the world, and knowing him, he has the math down to a T of how much damage he can be willing to put on his own characters. And here he is going with Estrada. Moving, attacking. Here it is.
So we'll have Estrada 2 plus a flip, and we got a +1 there.
Yep. And
so 3 altogether.
Yep, taking the damage and spawning out another minion. So Estrada is down to 14. And we have another shelter being played.
Definitely making the most of Frail's ability there.
Yep. So Eric drawing into a really good hand to be able to see these 1-mana cards here on turn 1 to heal up. It's I think that Eric couldn't ask for anything better.
Lady Luck is definitely on his side.
Sometimes it is better to be lucky than good. And
this is very true.
Estrada leading from the top of the deck.
He's probably looking at the number of ones that he had in his hand and that he's played so far and looking at his odds to throw out a pretty good card.
Yeah, I know that Eric loves to have cards in his hand. He loves to have 6 cards at all times. So the fact that I've seen him play 2 cards from hand, he's going to draw 2 at the end of this round and be at a 6 limit. That is right in Eric's happy spot.
That is a good place to be when you're trying to push a lane and have leads in your hand.
All right, so now we are back over to Nalochlin.
So what do you think we're going to see here? Probably something pretty big?
You know what? He left Estrada and Freyhill in really good spots, so if he wants to put damage into them, he's really going to have to work hard. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Nalochlin just try to do a little lane control so something doesn't get completely out of hand. But honestly, what scares me for Clinton is the fact that he just has a lead from the top of his deck in the dome. And if that is just a 1, then he only has a 3 control in the dome, which really opens it up for Freyhill to come in, lead with a 3, and uh, really just almost wipe Clinton's turn out. So
Yeah.
I I think
Looking
Clinton
at
has a lot of options here.
looking at the push in the lanes, I mean, Eric is definitely in a better spot right now as far as control on the lanes go. So definitely we can see Clint just kind of sitting there on the field thinking about what he's going to do. I'm sure there's a lot of math running through his head right now, calculating the number of minions and heroes in the lane to figure out who has control of which lane and by how much.
Now, this is where some special insight into Clinton is going to be nice. So, in real life, is Clinton this thought? Well, I'll say thoughtful, but does he put this much thought into a lot of the decisions that he makes in his day to day?
Clinton never does anything halfway. He is
Okay,
full bore on literally everything that he does. He's all in or nothing. So
gotcha.
definitely his play style is definitely very reflective of the way that he is in every single day life. So I think I mean, judging by what we've seen from both of these players, you're going to see them both be as aggressive as they could be in this case. So I think Clinton's definitely looking at his outs on this turn and trying to maximize the cards that are in his hand, and he's definitely doing calculations of what he's got left in his deck. I am not sure what he does here. I
Yeah,
think he's definitely feeling the pressure.
yeah. Joe in chat is saying Eric is just baiting him to come to a lane.
All right, we see a move action.
Now, this next action is, I think, is where, do we see a skirmish attack and go after a Shrita, or do we see attack a minion lead?
If we're going based on what he would traditionally play, we would definitely see a skirmish and attack
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of Clinton's signature combination there. But like you said, he's definitely got to get some.
Okay, here we go. We're going
There
with
it
the
is.
skirmish. Okay, just flipping a +1. Freyhill down to 10. And here's the attack. So that's going to be 5 more piercing damage. Freyhill down to 5.
That was probably about as good as you could get there.
I think so. I think he's going to be happy with that. And if he wins, if he is able to pull off a win in the dome, he's going to be able to really push getting a tamer point. So I'm going to expect to see Eric probably go into the dome, lead, and worship to heal back up a little bit. And he might be able to sneak a dome win here. If he's able to lead with a 3, Clinton just leading from the top of the deck, that really, really scares me here for him.
I agree.
All right. So we've got the activation of Freyhill. Yep, Joe saying in the chat, Freyhill could go and tie dome and win both lanes possibly. Yep, I'm with you, Joe. I think he has that possibility.
And Eric doesn't need to win the dome here. He just needs to tie the dome.
Exactly. I don't think Eric wants to see the outsider ever come out into play. I think he would be happy tying the dome every time.
Your outsider can definitely do a lot of work for you, and after you've spent a lot of time calculating your lanes and your control points, then the outsider comes in and just changes everything. Can definitely go from good for you to bad for you or the other way around really quick when
Yeah.
the outsider starts to come around.
So while Eric is thinking about what he's doing, let's just do a quick look at the lanes. So currently, Eric's got a big lead in lane 1. Lane 2, he's up a minion plus a lead. And all right, so we're after action. Freyhill taking a skirmish action and poking a little damage on the Lachlan, doing 1.
Heading into the dome.
Yep, and here's the lead. Leading from the top of the deck. And a worship. Yep. Gonna worship on herself. And heal up a little bit here. Let's see what he gets on the flip for the heal. You know, he's got to be hoping for that +3. Okay, flipped a 1. So going up to 7. Now
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad. The dome leads, though, are going to really say it all. All right, Brilvar leading with a 1. So we're going to win by 3 over here.
Putting that control token right up there next to the Nexus.
That's right where Eric wants to see it. Okay, lane 2. Estrita leading with a 3, so another big win over here, going all the way up to the Nexus. But the one that really matters is going to be this lead in the dome.
What do you think we're going to see here, Eric?
I'm afraid that Hokusai led with a 1. I'm really scared of that for Clinton. I hope he led with a 3. He did. Hokusai leads with a 3. He's going to win that dome by 1. Sometimes you just got to believe in the heart of the cards.
That is probably a definite sigh of relief for Clinton there. I mean, losing both lanes is probably something that he expected to do here. I think that's probably a concession that he was willing to make, but losing that dome would have been definitely putting him in a bad place, and Eric in an even better one.
Yeah, it would have been rough. It would have been a hard comeback if he doesn't win this outsider.
At this point, Clinton has a lot of work to do here to try to get a kill in for... Whew. And Eric is already so far ahead, having 2 control tokens right up there. So, Onslaught, we've got to defeat 3 enemy heroes, and insofar, we've not seen any.
All right.
And now that the Tamer, or now that the Outsider is showing up into Clinton's favor, that puts Tamer on the board. So
the Tamer is definitely not the type of outsider that can do the type of damage that Clinton likes to see when he brings the Dark Vigilante. He does have a 3 attack, but he's only going to be able to flip twice, whereas the Dark Vigilante gets to flip 3 times, which is exactly why Eric did not want to see the Dark Vigilante here. But
for those new players that are joining us tonight, the Dark Vigilante was Clinton's outsider that he would have brought had Eric not chosen to bring his.
Yeah, so
the Dark Vigilante is a very aggressive outsider that pretty much gets an extra skirmish attack every time he plays, which can do a lot of work.
So I think Clinton's probably trying to think right now, do I want to flip twice on Freyhill and try to get this 7 damage? It's absolutely possible if he goes in with a skirmish and flips a 2 or a 3. She's got a piece of armor, so may take her down to 5. An attack flipping a 2 or 3. It's going to be really close if he can take out Freyhill. So what he might be thinking here is, do I want to give Kichi Frenzy, which is absolutely a possibility he could do here. That's one of the abilities on the Terror, is one of your target adjacent heroes gives them Frenzy. So that might be a really good option here. And using that skill number 2 and deciding to pull in Estrita and giving her a disarm. Yep, using the ability to give Kichi Frenzy. And then using the skill number 1 there, which is the Nightmare's Roar. Yep, he's going to slow and push. So he has really kind of made a street pretty much obsolete next round, right? She's slowed, she disarmed, she's not going to be able to do a whole lot. But I think the key thing for Clinton there was giving Kichi 2 attack actions.
Kichi can definitely do some work. So do you think that we will see the first character that Clinton activates this round be Kichi?
I don't know. I think he might, and I might. So going into round 2, he has the flux. He may have a rampant hatred in hand. So if we see a hero go into the dome and end their turn in the dome, I wouldn't be shocked if we see that followed up with a turn with Nalaklan using rampant hatred, getting into the dome and using rampant hatred. Um, so he's going to have a lot of options here. I think Eric is going to have to try to just survive this round. Um, it really is up in the air. I think it could go many different directions here.
I think one of the best things about Skytear is like you start so strong, right? And you have or like you as the game goes on, it just seems like it gets so much more intense because you're getting so close to the end of the light and then the tables just turn so quickly.
Yeah. So Clinton did decide to activate with Kichi first and declare the skirmish action. And Eric is deciding to play a snow blind. All right, so the snow blind is going to hit Kichi and Nalakland. So this frenzy is going to be neutered a little bit by the disarm. Great play by Eric here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Eric might have thought he might be able to hit the Terror, but I think the way the AoE is going to work here, he's only going to be able to hit Nalaklan and Kichi, which I think is going to be just fine.
All of those heroes are definitely positioned in a way that Soulblind is definitely a great
Oh,
play
okay.
there.
No, he actually is able to hit all three because the Street is the one that played it, not Freyhill. That was my mistake. So yeah, even the Terror is going to be disarmed going into the next round.
That is huge.
All right, so here comes the skirmish, flipping a +3, but that's going to be rounded down. It's going to just take 2 damage onto Freyhill. Just goes down to 5.
That Freyhill has definitely been doing some work for Eric over here, so I can certainly understand why Clinton is trying to take her off the board.
Yeah, Brady,
And
can you go in and move that round marker for us? Move that over to round
Yep.
2. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
There we go.
Thanks for pointing that out, chat. We appreciate it. All right, so it looks like we are going to see an attack targeting Freyhill. All right, Eric playing looks like a Crawling Darkness.
All right, so that's going to apply disarm and slow.
Yeah, so what I think Eric's doing here, so he's already disarmed. Giving him the slow, that's fine. Oh, wait, who are we targeting here? Oh, we're targeting Yami with the crippling. Okay, there we go. So we have 3 of the 4 characters on Clinton's side all have disarm.
That definitely gives an advantage to Eric, slowing Clinton down quite a bit to make it definitely more difficult. All right, so we are seeing a Nightmares Incarnate played here, dealing 3 damage.
Yeah, so we saw an attack putting Freyhill down to 3, and then Clinton followed that up with a Nightmares Incarnate to finish it off. So doing that 3 damage out of hand. First point of onslaught. Here we go. Yeah, really making use out of that mana. Joe, you're right. Before knowing that Freyhill was going to die, might as well use up the mana. Absolutely. Right, so I didn't see what happened there. We might have had another attack being declared with the frenzy. I'm not sure. Maybe he's just thinking about it. All right, so where we stand right now, Brandy, what are you thinking? We've got one hero down from Eric, but yet still all the pressure on the lanes.
We've still got all the pressure on the lanes, which Clinton doesn't seem to be dealing with at all. We got Brevlar still on the field here, who hasn't activated this round, and especially with Hokusai and Yami disarmed this round, it's going to make it tough with Brevlar's ability for Clinton to be able to get in that damage. Are we going to see a sinkhole this round too to make sure that Clint stays right where he is and can't do even a little bit of work?
Well, so we're in round two.
It's
So
tough.
it's I think that's one of the nice things about Clinton having the flux is that that sinkhole is going to be a 3 mana card. So he kept Eric from being able to play those sinkholes in round two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was actually a smart play there by
I was
Clinton because
I was
you're
ahead of
exactly
myself
right.
there.
Yeah, but you're right on. That's exactly what Eric wants to do. Is he wants to make sure that Clinton's heroes don't get anywhere close to him. So Clinton is definitely in the tank here. He's thinking, what can I do with the rest of my Kichi activation? Yeah, I think the way round one went, it went really well for Eric, and this outsider just does not quite work like the Dark Vigilante does for Clinton. So, um, I think we might see Nalaklan and maybe even Yami do a little lane control and possibly try to just further this game out a little bit and just do a little plink damage here or there.
Just try to stay afloat. Do you think that we'll be seeing Kiji using his prediction ability here to try to maybe mitigate some of those lanes?
He might use it here to possibly see if he can't get a good lead from him, right? Looking at a couple of cards, try to get a 3 lead and use that action as it get a 3 in the dome so he can lead with the other heroes.
All right, looks like we've got a move action
Yep.
here.
Yep. And he's going to go ahead and do a little linger. He's got that frenzy attack, so might as well use it on a minion. I like it.
Definitely smart play here by Clinton. Those lanes are going to start getting very overwhelming here, and if we're not careful, we're going to see an invasion.
Yep. So, Brady, can you put us one of the red tokens on Onslaught for us so everybody knows that Clinton's got one hero down?
I am not sure I know how to do that.
All right, I gotcha.
Perfect.
Thanks, chat. All right. So I think Kichi's activation went as good as it possibly could go. He made Eric use a lot of mana, got the kill, got a hero kill, got a minion kill. I think as good as Clinton could possibly ask for there.
I think the next 2 turns for him are going to be a little bit more difficult than that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. So Eric activating Brilvar. Okay, so he's going to move up. Skirmish going all the way across the board. Playing a presence. Here we go.
This is definitely where things start to get interesting.
Yeah, he's really going to put a lot of pressure on these lanes. So Brilvar going to have +1 on lane control here. And you know Eric's going to find a 3 to lead with. There's that last action leading from the deck.
I definitely think we're going to see a pretty big advantage for Eric there.
Yeah, that
Having that
basically just
having
evened
that
up.
present.
All right, so activation over to Clinton, thinking about what to do. So, Brady, what's going on in Clinton's head right now? What do you think's going? What's he trying to calculate here?
Well, he's definitely looking at the lane 2 over there and probably doesn't have much confidence in his ability to win over there. I mean, it's looking pretty good for Eric. I think right now he's trying to decide, does he want to go for the dome again and try to get a little bit more work out of the Chair of the Endless Night? But he's also looking at the lanes and saying, what do I have to do to either tie the lanes or do a little bit of damage mitigation here to not be overwhelmed by the control token heading toward towers?
Yeah, and what's interesting is, I mean, a tie over in the lane like doesn't even do it. He has to win a lane because he's got to get that control token to move at least one, um, and that's where the pressure Eric's putting on is pretty heavy here. And the fact that he was able to get a slow on Yami, and at this point not really leaving a hero for her to kind of slingshot with, I think it's really good hero placement from Eric. All right, so Clinton definitely thinking. So, Brandy, I know you said you haven't played a whole lot of Skytear, but you're a gamer. So, what's your gaming background? What are some of the games you've played?
So Clinton and I are definitely big tabletop players. We have a pretty comprehensive game collection. Oh, we've got to move here.
Oh, okay, going right back into the dome with Lachlan.
That is interesting.
Okay, here's the flux. So we're gonna probably see the rampant hatred come down here as long as Eric doesn't have a response to the flux. Yep, there's that rampant hatred.
So we're looking at here, 1+1 skirmish damage for every friendly hero in line of sight. So Clinton's showing us here
He's gonna
how
get
many heroes he has in his line of sight.
well. So he's playing. He's
Oh,
got +3, but then Yami played a release the spirits, so she's gonna be able to remove the disarm token from Lachlan. So he's going to be
that is
back to full health. Yeah, so
huge.
this was a great play.
Absolutely huge.
So +3 on the skirmish. And flipping a 3.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what makes Skytear unique.
Yep.
You go from a very sticky situation to a play that definitely turns the tide.
So that is going to be 6 damage to Astrida. From the Rampant Hatred skirmish. So he still has only taken a move action. He's got 2 actions left. We're going to see an attack on Astrida. So it's going to be 3+. Okay, flipping a 2. So it's going to be 5 more. And if he decides to skirmish as this last action, we're most likely going to see a dead Astrida.
She is definitely feeling the heat.
Yep, and here it is. There's the skirmish action. We got a 3+ from that Rampant Hatred. Flipping a 1. Not going to do it. It's going to be 1 short.
So close.
Oh, that's got to feel bad. Flipping that +1. All right, so he's going to have 2 points of movement here with the skirmish. I would expect him to go to the lane, but I don't know what's going on in his head.
Lane math is hard.
It really is. I found that math is hard in all sense of the word. I remember being in school thinking, I don't need to know this math. Little did I know that in board games, it's all about math.
Exactly. All right, we see him moving Nalaklan over to lane 2.
All right,
I'm
so
not even going to attempt to do the math.
yeah, as it stands, there's 2 heroes, 2 minions, to 4 heroes or 4 minions and a hero plus a presence. So Eric still has the lead over there. Okay, so we're activating Astrida, which is immediately followed up with a shield slam from Hokusai, attempting to do 2 piercing damage here. Yep, no response from Eric. Astrida goes down.
So we see a second point for Clinton.
Yep, onslaught number 2. Okay.
However, there is still a lot of pressure in the lanes there for Clint to worry about. He is still not in the clear.
But all he has to do is do 14 points of damage to one little Korjoff over there, and this game is his.
And we have Hokusai and Yami both left to activate for Clinton, neither of which have piercing damage. So we are looking at Kordjoff over here with no armor.
Yep.
So piercing damage doesn't really matter.
So remember when Eric decided not to kill a minion in round 1 and decided to go put Korjoff in cover? I think this is why right here.
Thinking ahead. Smart play by Eric.
Yep.
So while Eric is thinking here, so Clinton and I are pretty good board gamers. We have an entire room in our house dedicated to our board games, but my favorite of all time is I'm a big Star Wars Destiny fan. So when FFG decided to cease production on Star Wars Destiny, that was definitely a sad day in the Bollinger house. So Clinton and I are from Michigan. We live in the mid-Michigan area, very near to the Flint area. So we would travel quite a lot to go to different Star Wars Destiny tournaments around. So I feel like the Skytear community and the Star Wars Destiny community are very, very similar in the regard of like it's such a great community to be a part of. So
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that is one of the main reasons that I'm still playing Skytear. Is just the community is so great. As great of a game as it is, the it really boils down to the people that you play with, and the fact that we have such a good community. There's no toxicity. It's such a good game, and highly encourage anybody that's out here listening. We put on monthly clashes that are very new player friendly. So highly encourage everybody to jump into this game if you haven't done it. As you can tell, this TTS mod is one of the best around, and it will never replace playing in real life with real people, with real minis. But the community's done a really good job of keeping this up to date. So highly encourage people getting in and getting involved in this game.
yeah, I mean, the great thing about the clashes is yes, there are a lot of experienced players that play in the monthly clashes, but a lot of them focus their efforts on helping new players. So when you go in and you are playing against someone, like Clinton or Eric or even you, Ian, like very revered players within the community, they're still going to spend their time teaching you and being patient with you and trying to give you the best play experience that they can.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So activations are going back on. So Yami deciding to start off her activation with a clear mind, removing that slow, taking a skirmish to move a couple spots, and now she is declaring a move.
Into the lane.
So Clint's got 5 cards in his hand. He's been killing heroes, drawing cards. You gotta hope he has he found a 3 mana card here that he can lead with.
I mean, with the characters that he has, I mean, he is running quite a few plus threes in his deck. I mean, mostly you're seeing some twos, but he's hoping that he doesn't have to stick around till round 3 and use these cards. So
Yep. So
I
he's
think,
probably doing some math right now. Okay.
all right, we're seeing an attack action on the minion there.
So
Lane
choosing
2.
not to lead and just a kill. So my guess is he's going to abandon Dome. And, well, let's do the math. He's got 3 heroes plus 2 minions. So he's only on a 5 with no lead. Eric is currently has 3 minions and a hero with a presence and a lead. So Eric's sitting at an 8 currently to Clinton's 5. He's going to have to abandon Dome and get over to lane 2 and get a lead with Hokusai. So Eric's activation with Korjov, I would expect him just to run up into the other set of cover, kill a minion, and lead.
Yeah, because I don't think you're going to see Kordroff do very much work otherwise. And Eric really is not concerned about trying to do any kind of mitigation of Clinton's heroes. That's not what he's here to do.
Absolutely.
So
All right, so Eric's thinking about this Korjov activation here. So I'm really not sure what else he'd be thinking. I mean, maybe he's going to run into the dome. I don't know. That would seem a little crazy to me. Korjov being your most fragile hero left, I think you're going to want to keep him in cover. But Eric knows what's in his hand. He knows that if he goes into round 3, he's going to have his big power cards.
some of the guys in the chat are pointing out that a lot of people were expecting to see a lead there from Yami instead of the attack on the minions. So maybe we're looking for a big lead with Hokusai.
I think
Maybe
so.
Clinton
Yeah.
is holding out to see what Eric does with Kordroff here to see what kind of aggressive control behavior he has to pull out.
Okay, so he's just moving, killing a minion. And okay, playing a night. So Eric's going to be playing his own Nightmares Incarnate here to take out another minion. Okay, and skirmishing into the dome. So I think this is a cheeky little play here from Eric because Eric's done the math and he knows Hokusai has to go to lane 2. If he doesn't go to lane 2, this game is just over. So Eric knows I can come into the dome. My Korchov is actually safe, and I'm going to win the dome and be able to use that Terror of the Endless Light. I think that was a fantastic little play there by Eric.
The Terror of the Endless Light can definitely do a lot of work for Eric here. I bet Clinton is definitely shaking in his beard.
Oh yeah, I see a little hex already with Yami, Kichi, and Lachlan. That terror is just staring down to be able to push and slow all 3 of those heroes.
Definitely puts Clinton in a tough spot.
All right, but Eric is done with his activations. He has no more heroes left, and it is just down to Hokusai.
And the players are definitely taking their time trying to figure out what's going on here because the winner of this match goes on to the finals for the World Championship qualifier. So, and the winner there will earn a seat at the World Championship. So, over on the opposite side of the bracket, we had Doc, who just finished up his round with Zambo. So, he's over in Spain, Doc is. So, it'll be interesting to see whether Clinton or Eric plays against him.
Now, Clinton and
for the
Doc
seat.
played in the Swiss rounds, correct?
Yep. So Doc actually gave Clint his only loss during the rounds of Swiss. So he
Interesting.
beat Clint on Onslaught round 2. So it was like Clinton got beat with his own stick there.
Uh-oh. So if Clinton's able to pull this out, we'll see. He'll be able to try to exact some revenge for his Swiss loss, and I'm sure he's looking forward to that.
And if Eric wins and heads on to see Doc, that'll definitely be another interesting matchup, another who can control or kill better, because Doc tends to play, again, a more aggressive aggro deck, where we're looking at Eric with his push deck.
Yep.
We may see a very similar match as we're looking at right now.
All right, so Clinton thinking about what he's going to do with Hokusai here, but I'm trying to do the math, and chat, you can keep me honest. I see for Clinton 2 minions, 3 heroes, currently sitting at a 5 with no lead. Eric has 3 minions, a hero with presence, and a lead, and we know it's a 3. He led with after presence. So Eric is sitting at an 8. So Clinton needs to get Hokusai to lane 1, or to the lane 2, and lead with a 3 to get up to a 9 and win that lane by 1 and push that token.
And with the number of cards that he has in his hand and the fact that he did not lead with his Yami there, is that what we're going to see?
Oh man, you hope after killing all those heroes, you saw a 3 mana card, but I just don't know. He believed in the heart of the cards round 1 and it worked. He might have to do it again. Yep, so there's the move. Okay, he's leading from hand. Okay, so we gotta hope that is a 3 mana. And worshipping. Oh, okay, worshipping from on Brilvar, flipping the +3. So that's going to be 4 piercing damage to Brilvar. Brilvar's going to go down to 13.
And Clinton is definitely not worried about taking that damage onto himself, because Eric's not going to be doing it to him. So.
All right. So lane 1, Eric's going to win by 4. He's doing 4 points of tower damage. He's going to get to draw a card. All right, Hokusai did lead with a 3, so that's exactly what he needed to win by 1. So he's going to see this game go 1 extra round. I think Clinton did exactly what he needed to do.
He is definitely breathing a sigh of relief right now, and Eric is trying to figure out what he can do to survive till the end of this round and move that control token back where it needs to be.
So now I think this game just switched from being in Eric's favor to Clinton's favor. So he's going to have 4 heroes, 2 of which are mages, could pile up on Brilvar. They could go after Korjov. He's going to have a lot of options, and he just has to take down 1 more hero. But let's see what Eric's going to be able to do with the terror here. Yep, so the terror has to spawn inside of a cover hex, and I think Clinton did a really good job of covering up that cover hex in the top right of lane 2, but he's going to be just fine here. I'm going to expect to see a move to get into that little hex right next to Nalaklan, Kichi, and Yami. Yep, there he's doing it. Probably going to...
Definitely gives him an opportunity to push a lot of heroes here.
Yep. Now he's probably thinking, do I want to kill a minion or do I want to disarm somebody? Yep. So disarm Nalaklan. I think that's the right play. And now he's going to be able to push and slow Yami, Nalaklan, and Kichi. You really can't ask for much more with the terror there. Yeah, the guys there forgetting that they needed to spawn some more minions over on lane number 1. So they're getting to that. Clinton needs to spawn a couple of minions as well.
All right, as we move on to round 3.
Yeah, I might just ping those guys in the chat real quick to make sure Clinton gets his minions spawned. Yeah, they got it. There they go. Okay, so the fireworks are about to happen. So as we go into round 3, Eric's going to get both of his heroes back. He's going to have Freyhill and Astrida ready to go. And just needs to push lane 2 and live.
So we're looking at Brovlar here at 13 health, Kordrov at 14. Clinton can definitely do enough work to get the damage down, but after the work with the Terror of the Endless Night there, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for him to get there.
It definitely will. And this is where Eric's going to be packing his sinkholes, his chasms, his ice walls to just try to prevent every bit of damage that's going to come his way. The round 3 is where Eric's deck becomes so powerful.
There's definitely a lot of intimidating cards, and you never know what he's got in his hand. And Eric is such a great player, and I'm sure that Clinton is sweating over there.
Yeah. So, Brandy, I think it's interesting the chat's bringing up here that, it might not be a bad idea if you're Eric to, maybe not necessarily try to go for an invasion here, but just let's try to get a Nexus on lane 1, right? It's like finish off lane 1 and go for a Nexus victory round 4. I don't think you're wrong, Chad. I think that might not be a bad idea.
And I think that Clinton has concentrated so much on lane 2 and the kills that lane 1 just kind of might be out of his view.
Yep, it might be. All right, so the players are really going into the tank here. So I think this first activation is really going to tell us a lot about what Clinton's thought process is here. Do we go after Brilvar? Do we go after Korchov? I think those are really probably the best 2 options.
I mean, you're also looking at, Astrida and Frail here who have done a lot of work for Eric in the first 2 rounds, that it's difficult to let them continue to be on the field with their healing abilities.
Exactly. Yep. So I wouldn't be surprised if Eric's first activation, when he gets the chance, is to get Freyhill up a little closer to people where her healing ability will kick in. Where she's at right now, she's not going to be able to heal either Kordrov or Brilvar. So he's going to want to probably get her within 3 hexes of those guys to be able to activate that ability. But Clinton being the first player, he's going to be able to act first here.
And it's definitely right that he is taking his time to decide what to do here, because this round will definitely be huge for both of them. Clint's only got 1 more point toward Onslaught. All he has to do is defeat 1 more character, and that's a victory condition for him. But Eric's looking good for Invasion and Nexus Destruction. So before the Terror of the Endless Night made its debut, it was looking good for Clint.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so it looks like he's deciding to activate Kichi first and declaring the skirmish action. Okay, so he's saying, Brilvar, you're my target here.
Brovlar being the lowest character, or the lowest health character that Eric has on the board. Could be going for that.
Yep. He's going to get to do the piercing damage. So, okay, there's the target. So, flipping a +2. Brilvar down to 11.
That definitely puts a lot of pressure on Eric right there.
And I think we just heard Clinton shuffling his deck, so he's going to get all those +3s back in his deck. Declaring an attack. All right, I'm gonna I might expect to see Eric maybe play something here. I don't know. I'm sure he's thinking about it.
I mean, if he's got some cards in his hand that he can use for lead, he might want to, but dead heroes can't lead.
All right, there it is. Didn't play anything. Clinton flips the +3. It's going to be 6 damage to Brilvar, goes down to 5.
That is definitely one of the advantages of having your mage there with that piercing damage. With Brovlar having 2 armor, that piercing damage definitely makes a big difference.
Oh yes, and that's why I was slightly surprised that we only saw 2 mages come onto the field for Clinton. But really, with Hokusai's worship ability doing piercing damage and the shield slams, um, I think that might be a good question to ask when we're all done here. Is the thought process on bringing this lineup of heroes?
I mean, I think that we probably saw Yami because even with the abilities that Eric's card from hand and then the Terror of the Endless Night have, that Yami can still do some work. But I would have liked to have seen him brought 4 mages.
I would have too.
That would have been a very entertaining match to watch.
All right, so Kichi's still with one activation or with one action point left. So he could. Okay, he's gonna lead here. I thought he might try to worship and get a look at a couple of cards and stack his deck, but he's gonna go ahead and decide to lead, and he's leading
Lead
from the
from
top of the
deck.
deck. Yep.
All right, so we're seeing a move here from Eric.
Yeah, Brilvar's just running away.
There was definitely a lot of forethought about that move. He immediately upon his activation knew exactly what he was going to do.
He did.
All right, now we see lead from deck. So again, Eric trusting the cards. And now we'll worship.
Okay, so he's gonna tank up. So if anybody wants to come after him, he's gonna have an extra piece of armor. Okay, so Hokusai could definitely finish off Brilvar here if he happens to have a shield slam in hand, a really good worship action coming. The fact that Eric didn't play anything on the Kichi activation makes me think that he's got a sinkhole in hand. For anybody that's ever played Eric, Eric always has sinkhole in hand every time he needs it. It's kind of annoying.
It's good to be Eric.
It really is. It really is.
All right, so we've got our that extra armor on there that definitely puts Clint in a position where he has to decide if he's going to try to get Lachlan all the way over there across the field with that piercing damage, or go for Hokusai or Yami, which can do a lot of work, but does not have piercing damage. And with Yami being melee, that definitely makes it a lot more difficult for her to get where she needs to be.
Yeah, and I think even more importantly, the fact that Eric was able to use the terror and put slow tokens on Nalaklan and Yami, uh, unless Clinton has another release the spirits or clear mind or move that slow, they're not going to be able to get very far.
So he did reshuffle his deck, and we have not seen another release the spirits yet. But it looks like he is running 3 in his deck. So the likelihood of him having one in his hand, it's there.
Yep. Yep. All right. So we're going to activate Hokusai. I think this is smart play. Make Eric play the cards.
Would be a little bit more advantageous here if there was a mark out there to get rid of that armor with Hokusai's ability.
All right, so he's thinking, okay, so he's just going to forget Brilvar and go after Korjov. Okay, we're going to see an attack after we move into the dome.
What do you think would cause Clint to switch gears like that.
So I think that Clinton is going to use this third action as a worship and worship Brilvar, who is just happens to be 3 hexes away, and see what happens here. So Hokusai flipping a +1 on the attack on Korjoff, so that's going to be 3 damage. Oh, that's right. Korjoff is going to have +1 armor because he is shapeshifted and within 3 of Brilvar. Yep, and there's the worship action. So I would think he would do this on Brilvar, but yep, there it is. So worship on to Brilvar, flipping a +2, so that's going to be 3 damage to Brilvar, taking him down to 2. And that is going to be the end of Hokusai's activation.
Definitely putting a lot of pressure on Eric here.
All right, so I think that we might see Freyhill get a little closer to the action. She is able to play green mana cards, which a timely sinkhole might be exactly what you need here. This Nalaklan and Yami just seem so out of it with those slow.
That is definitely not something that we are used to seeing from either of those characters.
No. All right, so here's Freyhill. He is activating, putting her in the middle of the dome. Okay, taking a skirmish action. Okay, this is going all the way across. Gonna flip on Kichi with the skirmish action. All right, poking him for 1. And then leading. But what I think he did by putting her in that spot, she is going to be able to cast a sinkhole if Clinton does have some way to remove the slow from Yami and or Nalaklan. He's going to be able to keep them right in place. Okay, so it looks like Eric's taking back that lead action, instead choosing to attack a minion.
Interesting.
Okay, so he's going to still try to keep that pressure on in the invasion.
So Clinton is running 3 Release the Spirits in his deck, which for players who are unfamiliar, that does allow him to remove all of the conditions from heroes. So
let me ask this. How many time glitches is Clinton running? We saw him play 1 in round 1.
let me check into that for you here.
But if he can
He's
play...
running 3 time glitches on Yami.
Okay, so if he can remove remove the slow and get a fast, that will allow him to get across the board to Brilvar. But the fact that Eric's sitting with 5 cards in his hand, I would just be shocked if he doesn't have a sinkhole. And the minute that one of those heroes tries to get across the board, he just shuts him down.
I completely agree. And he still does have 3 more activations this round. We'll have to see.
And honestly, it's important to note, Clinton doesn't have to win this round. You know, if he continues to just make sure lane 2 doesn't move, Eric's not winning the game with the Nexus this round. So, you know, Clinton very well may just be setting himself up here. Just don't lose this round, and I can get my final 2 points of damage in on Brilvar next round.
I'm not sure that Clinton is a safe kind of player, though.
So you would think
That
then,
that sounds like a conservative play to me, Eric.
sure. So you would think
Or
then
Aaron.
that
Ian.
Clinton is going to do everything he can to try to get that last 2 points of damage this round if he can do it.
I don't think that he wants to sweat it out for any longer than he absolutely needs to, especially, the with Eric's deck being so strong of those 3 mana cards, that's a huge threat. And Eric just has a lot of stops that he can pull out to gain control of the lanes relatively quickly. And like you said, he's not winning via Nexus control this round.
Yep.
So Eric is just going to be doing whatever he can do to survive.
Yeah, Eric is definitely in the just don't lose, heal, stop people. He's going to throw out all the stops. But, you know, and maybe that's just my style of play, right? Like I'm the kind of guy that I see this board and I look at it and think, Eric is not winning this game this round. If I can just keep a little pressure on lane two, um, then I can just win the game on round four. And that's the way I'd be looking at it. But Clinton is in this spot and not me. So he definitely knows what he's doing.
Or he's just crazy, one of the two.
One of the two.
I definitely do think, we were chatting with the players before the round just to kind of get an idea of what they were thinking going into this. And they both talked about the fact of like they both want to win at their best, right? They both want to make this game as not necessarily as close as possible because they both want to guarantee that win. But I think that they're both sitting there thinking like, how can I get out of this in the best way possible? And it's not an easy out for either of them, I think, at this point.
No, I think you're right. And I think where we sit right now, nearing the halfway point here at round three, I think they're already giving us a really good game, just showcasing kind of the power of control, yet the power of, killing heroes, right? So the fact that Eric was down 2 heroes last round and yet was still able to win a dome, win a lane, still continue to put pressure, I think they're giving anyone watching this game a real show here.
I agree. And I think that, that's one of the great things about Skytear is the fact that, like, there are so many ways to win. And, we have an action here. We've
All
got a
right.
move action with a response.
Yeah, so
We're
Yami
looking at
activating,
a
playing
clear
a clear
mind here.
mind. So this is step one, remove the slow.
So for those players who are following along, Clear Mind gives the caster +1 attack, and you may remove 1 condition from the caster. So this is definitely a card that is meant for Yami. She's actually the character art on the card to remove those slows from her so that she can do her work.
Okay, and as her second action, she is taking the worship action. And so she would be targeting Korchoff. So I think before this resolves, Eric may be thinking about life.
If we look at the history of these two players, Eric is usually one to win by pushing the lane or Nexus destruction in round 3 or 4, generally speaking. Clinton right now, he's sweating because he usually likes to get it over and done with by the end of round 2. Now we're midway through round 3 and he still has not secured a victory. He's nervous.
Now, I think we learned last night that Clinton has one time in his Skytear career won by a left breach.
Yes, but the caveat of that information was it was the first game he ever played.
The first game
So,
Clinton ever played, chat, he won by a left breach.
and we probably have Joe jumping in on the chat to say that it was he who lost to Clinton by that left breach. So,
all right, so before Yami can finish that worship action, we see Freyhill playing a Snowblind. So we've seen this card earlier. Places a little AoE, giving everybody in that AoE a disarm token. So that's going to just hit Yami. Yeah, and there's the chat responding to Clinton's left breach win over Joe in his first game of Skytear ever. All right, so Clinton's probably deciding if he wants to play anything or let that sinkhole resolve. Looks like he let it resolve. Okay, flipping a +2 on the worship action, so that's going to be 3 damage. Taking Korjov down to 9. Now thinking about that last action.
I am not sure what we see here.
Yeah, the fact that he put a disarm on Yami there was a really good play. So if he decides to attack Korjov, it's not going to quite do what he was hoping for. But it looks like we're probably going to see the attack anyway.
I think this does put Clinton in a good position, having both Brovlar and Kordjoff down lower on the health tracker there.
Yep.
Does open up his opportunities when Nalaklan activates to have a choice of who he decides to attack.
Yeah, so she did decide to attack, flipped to +1, but with that disarm, only doing 2 points of damage there to Korjov. So we're seeing Korjov down to 7 hit points.
I think we just had a double clear mind there.
No, I think they were just removing the cards there. Yep.
Okay.
So if Eric doesn't get out of dodge with Korjov, we could possibly see a rampant hatred from Nalaklan. I don't know. The fact that he's slowed, though, that slow, I think, is just so good.
Definitely exactly what Eric needs to be doing.
All right, so Eric's going, just moving up with the Strida. Let's see if he decides to worship an attack here. I guess Freyhill did not lead over in lane 2, so he may be hesitant to use the worship ability and just attack and lead.
So we have 1 lead from Eric and 1 lead from Clint.
Okay,
here.
so he is deciding to go ahead and worship. Choosing to worship herself. So I fully expect to see a minion attack here. Yep.
And I don't think that she's worried about...
Interesting here. We just saw a redirect being played from Kichi saying, no, you are going to attack the outsider.
Very interesting.
I like it. I like the play. So he's keeping that minion advantage, the minion disadvantage down the best he can. So Eric's still up a minion in lane 2. But well played. Oh, the chat. Yeah, that's a really good question, Michael. You know, Michael's in the chat asking why go after Brilvar and or Korchov when the outsider is just sitting right there, because Clinton could very well have just attacked the outsider this whole time and done the damage to him. And if he does kill the outsider, that would count as a third enemy hero being killed. So that's a really good question, Michael. And I think that's worth possibly asking Clinton here after the game, seeing how after this one goes.
Yeah, because definitely an interesting thing to point out about the outsiders, that the outsider is both friendly and an enemy to you.
Well, actually, so we've had some updates in the rules, and so the outsider is actually always an enemy.
All right.
Yeah, so it's one of those.
Corrected.
Yeah, it's one of those errated, updated things there. So you can always attack him and take him out, which I think would have actually been a really smart play because he had him surrounded. Yeah, that was really, like you said, Joe, there in the chat, a waste of activation there for Astrida, not leading, not really doing anything. That redirect was really well timed. All right,
So
so
what do you think that Eric has to do here to make it to the end of the round?
I think that Brilvar has to still be holding on to a sinkhole, and where he stands, he could pull Korjov out if someone tries to come in and hit him. So the fact that Nalaklan is slowed and disarmed, uh, all Brilvar would have to do is just drop a sinkhole and pull Korjov out if he needed to do that. Um, but really, unless Clinton has some cards here to remove the slow and disarm, there's not a whole lot Nalaklin's going to be able to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nalaklin just continues to put some pressure, maybe on lane 2, kill a hero, lead. Um, like I said, maybe try to push this into round 4.
He doesn't have line of sight of any pillars, so he's not going to be able to use his
Yep.
ability if Clinton has any clear mines in hand or anything like that. So it's in a tough spot.
Yeah, this is one of those games where I think, we sit here and I could still see it going both ways. I see
I
lines for both players that they have to victory here, and I'm not sure who has the upper hand at this point. I'd kind of be leaning to Clinton just for the fact that he, I, I don't know what Eric's going to do if he's going to pull Korjov over into lane 2 to try to win this round with an invasion, but that seems scary if you get Korjov, who's only has 7 hit points left, anywhere near Nalaklan. It's some interesting plays.
So we are just here waiting for Clinton to start his activation. Am I right?
Correct. Yep. He's going to be activating the Lachlan, and it's just a matter of what does he have in hand. What does he want to do with the Lachlan? If he doesn't have anything to remove these uh, disarms and slow tokens on him, he's. I really think he only has the one option, which is try to just make sure that lane 2 does not go back uh, towards the Nexus.
All right, we have some action going on here. Clinton is starting his activation.
All right, looks like he's going digging in Eric's discard pile here. Trying to probably doing some counting. How many sinkholes has Eric have in his discard pile?
And we have yet to see Eric shuffle his discard pile.
Yep.
So Clinton's definitely playing the odds here of saying how many cards are in the discard pile, how many cards does Eric have in hand, and how many cards does he have available to him still in his draw pile. And with only 4 cards left in hand, we'll see.
So while we're waiting, so Brandy, when you and Clinton are sitting down at the table to play a tabletop board game, who's up? Who's got the most wins here?
It
Not
all
necessarily in
depends.
Skytear, right?
It all depends on what games we're playing. So I tend to my favorite tabletop game is a game called Five Tribes. I don't know
Oh,
if you've
yep,
ever played before.
absolutely.
That's definitely my go-to, and I think I'm up like twice the number of wins over Clint on that one. But
Nice.
I think he tends to diversify too much in that because just like Skytear, there are so many ways to win in that one. I tend to like have a victory condition set in my mind and just like go full bore toward that where I think Clint tries to be creative frequently. Those who have played him know that he definitely gets creative in his decks. So I also enjoy a game called Black Fleet, which sadly is out of print right now. That is definitely one of our games that when back in the day when we could have friends over. Oh, I have some action
All
here.
right, we have action. So we see a presence being played by Nalaklan.
All right, so it's going to give Nalaklan 1 extra control point this round and also allow him to predict 2.
Yeah, so
What
this
do
is
you think he could be using this prediction for?
so I think he's going to probably try to find if he can find a 3 mana lead card I think he hangs out here in lane 2, leads with the best that he can, and just take this game into round 4. I think if he can take this game into round 4, I think he probably wins.
We've got Brovlar down here at 2 health. Korjov here at 7. But we've got the control token 1 away from the next there.
So he could also be stacking this deck. He might see a couple of +3 on the damage cards, and maybe he's got some things in hand to get out of this disarm slow thing. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve here, but I'm thinking
maybe he's looking to see if he's got enough here to lead to take control of the lane and then set himself up for success for a kill first turn of the activation.
Yep, I think that's the smart play. And there it is. There's the lead.
There's the lead. All right, so he's leading from deck. So with his prediction, he knows what that card is.
He knows what it is. Yep.
So he's either pretty confident that he's going to take the advantage there, or he's bluffing.
And he's going to attack on a minion.
Going to give him 1 more point toward control, or take 1 away from Eric, should I say.
Oh, and Astrida plays a redirect this time. All right, so Nalaklan is going to have to instead going to hit the outsider, leaving that minion over there for Eric. Okay, and then taking a skirmish action. Okay, and so now he is switching to hit the outsider. I think he's probably realizing, uh-oh, maybe I should have done that before.
This was an opportunity lost so frequently.
All right, so Brianni, let's do some math. I see 3 minions, 2 heroes, and a presence for Clinton.
All right,
so he's at 6 with the lead. Eric has 4 minions, 2 heroes, no lead. So we are sitting at 6-6. Korjov comes over to lane 2.
Do we have 2 leads there for Clint?
In lane 2, Kichi has a lead as well, but Kichi had a blind lead. He knows exactly what this lead from Nalaklan is. So only one of them will count. It'll be the highest one to count. And, you got to think if he presents there, you hope it's a 3. But if Korjov comes over into the lane, can he get there?
And Clinton doesn't necessarily need to win the lane. He just needs to tie to keep the control token where it is.
Yeah, he needs to tie. He needs to not lose the lane by 1.
So his lead there from Nalaklan, even though he knows what it is, could be a safety net just in case.
Could be.
The lead from Kichi there is less than desirable.
Yep. I think...
But didn't he also use Kichi's predict to put out the lead before?
I don't think Kichi used the worship action. I think that was something he could have done, but I don't know if he did it or not. But I think that redirect from Astrida, keeping that minion alive, may have just been the play Eric needed to get Korjov over into lane 2 and maybe hold that lane. But the problem is invasion doesn't trigger until the very end. So if Clinton does win the dome, he will get an activation with the outsider, and the outsider would only have to do 2 points of damage to Brilvar, and that would give him the 3rd win. So I think Eric's got to weigh that option here. Do I push 2 and try to get an invasion to possibly lose Brilvar here? This is a tough spot.
Yeah, I mean, the Terror of the Endless Night's not going to do the damage that we see from some other outsiders, but 3 plus a flip, that's enough.
Okay, so Eric now in the tank.
The tides have turned yet again.
Yeah, this is such an interesting game. I'm so glad that these objectives came out this way, that both players really had a clear sight to victory, and we're getting to see some high level Skytear being played here, which is exactly what you want to see in the semifinals of a big event.
Absolutely. I think you're definitely seeing high tier plays coming from high tier players in a high tier tournament.
All right, so here is our activation from Korjoff. All right, so we are seeing a Nightmares, or is that a Nightmares Incarnate being played
It
by Yami?
is. So
Okay.
dealing 3 damage to a target enemy.
Oh, Korjoff playing his ult. Here we go. Featherstorm.
So when you may place Kordrov anywhere on the battlefield, then if Kordrov is shapeshifted, deal 3 plus a flip damage and apply disarm to an adjacent enemy hero. So looking at the board here, he has 2 choices. He's got Hokusai and Yami both sitting next to him there.
Yeah, so I think Eric's going to use this to just say, I'm going to go wherever I want to go. Because he was shapeshifted. He's going to do a little damage to Kichi here, taking Kichi down to 10. Yeah, and chat there is pointing out that Eric, remember way back when he played that Snowblind and disarmed the Outsider? That's going to come into real big play with the Outsider trying to do that last 2 points of damage to Brilvar through the disarm. It's going to be very difficult.
That's why we're seeing these 2 players here today.
All right, so he's putting Korjoff just hiding in the corner. Attack a minion. And this is where we see Eric with a lead.
And there goes one of his sinkholes.
Yeah, everybody's doing math now.
So that's got to be a little bit of a sigh of relief for Clinton there, seeing the sinkhole getting flipped over for
Sure.
that attack there on that minion.
Yeah. But I'm telling you.
Not where Eric wants to use his sinkholes.
Yeah, Joe, you're right. I think this is looking good for Eric here. The fact that he was able to get a disarm on the Outsider, I think it's gonna end up being huge. All right, so not sure what they might be thinking about here. So Eric, yeah, last action, leading with Korjoff, leading from the deck. So
and here we see him shuffling.
Yep, math for Eric. 4 minions, 3 heroes, in a lead. So he's at a 7 in a lead. Clinton is sitting at 2 heroes, 2 minions with the presence. So he's sitting at 5 in the lead. Okay, Brilvar leading over there with a 3. So taking out tower number 1. And he is going to completely surround Brilvar with minions, and the Terror is not going to be able to touch Brilvar.
Very smart move here for Eric.
Yep. But Korjoff is going to have to be the target, but I don't think you can do 7 points of damage with the disarm. I think this might be it. Let's see what happens over here in lane 2. We had blind leads from Eric. Clinton knew what he had.
So while our players are thinking here, I noticed that we did have a couple of... Oh, we have some there.
So that Korjoff led with a 3. Lachlan led with a 2. All right, so not enough. So Invasion is threatening, and I think they're just saying good game here. I think they're realizing that the outsider cannot do enough damage with the disarm. So good game. Congratulations to Eric. So Brandy, let's go jump into their chat and talk with the players.
All right, let's head over.
It has more sustain because the healing and stuff. So,
gentlemen, good game. Good game. I assume this was we realized that the outsider cannot do enough damage here with the disarm.
No. Oh yeah, I get the outsider. Yeah, right. I technically get it, but
you do get the
I don't
outsider.
think it's possible because this is end of round.
It is end of round.
Oh, you're right.
So let's. Here we go.
I don't think there's a way.
Do we want to play it out? This is the first time
You're
live in game chatting with the players, and we're gonna keep.
Alrighty,
let's do it.
I totally yeah. I don't think I can, but because he's trapped. We'll try it. Whatever. He'll go here. He'll have to pull. He'll have to attack.
Okay.
But he's disarmed is the problem. So that's 4. That's 2 more damage.
2 more damage. Do I have an armor? I don't have an armor, so
Nope.
2 damage.
And then the best thing I can do, I think, is skirmish, which is flip, and 1 more.
1 more.
All
So
right.
if the nightmares might have went off, there might have been a more opportunity for that. So he still wins.
Well, congratulations, fellas. That was honestly one of the funnest matches that I've watched in a long time. I think just great plays by both of you guys.
Clinton said for a long time he loves the control versus aggro matchup, and this was
it was definitely that. Yeah, I had to like
worked out any better for you guys having the victory conditions that you did.
Yeah, I had to push back. Was it round 2?
Yep.
I had to otherwise I lost then. And then it was just tough because all my guys were this side and he was heading this way. Then he had people go back to the other side, and I felt spread out. And I think him winning the outsider to push and slow all my guys was just a huge detriment.
So did you?
And disarm.
So basically, if you had the 3, right, you come over here and save it. And at which point I did the thing where I put Korjov in here. Did you know that Horgasai could have come over here, attacked a minion, and led for 3 over here, and you would have pushed this thing way back over here? Like you would have destroyed all my minions, and it would have been a ton more work for me than supposed to just having to push 1 over here. I'd have to push like a gazillion over here with no minions and stuff.
I guess I didn't realize that, to be honest with you. I think it was like I was hoping, if I drew Rampant Hatred, like I kind of want my heroes to be like near each other.
Yep.
Right, and like.
Oh, you didn't have it in your hand, huh? Okay.
Oh, I didn't. No.
Okay.
There was 3 in the discard, by the way. You just didn't see it.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, they were all there.
So, Clinton, I think one of the things that the chat brought up, and I think it's worth asking, so going into round 3, did it cross your mind, instead of chasing down Brilvar or Korjov, to just attack the outsider that was sitting right there in the lane?
I probably should have. It didn't cross my mind, to be honest.
Yep.
Because what's worse thing is going to move 1 or something. Yeah, I probably could have melted him. Right? I could have. Right? Yep. That was probably a mistake on my part.
So you get him with the first guy. Frail comes in and disarms 2 of your guys, probably. But yeah, I think you still you have Rampant Hatred at that point in time, so it's probably.
No, I don't have Rampant Hatred.
He
you don't have Rampant Hatred.
He didn't have it at all going into round 3.
I was playing around that so much. I knew it.
So the nice thing is I could have probably done it because redirect and stuff. I could have used the redirect on one of your heroes to attack the outsider like I did. Disarming the shield would have done it. Would have got +1 plus the flips. I probably could have done it.
And then a Streeter comes in and steals the kill with the Nightmares Incarnate.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's the other weird thing, right? Is that
Yep.
he can kind of do that kind of stuff. What I probably would have done is save the redirect until
until right near the end.
Till the right time, I guess, is the other thing. I had a Nightmares Incarnate in hand, so I probably would have held the Nightmares and the redirect until like I had to get it.
Well, it would have been funny. You had 2 yellow casters. I only had 1. Like, I don't think Korjov. Well, maybe Korjov runs over that point, and then I also have those things.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. It's interesting. It probably would have been easier. Yeah, I don't know. butterfly effect, right?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
But so part of me is like, man, I really shouldn't have left him there, but I think I had to do that. I mean, I think if I don't slow his entire team like with all that value, that he'd run somebody down so easily because, yeah.
Yeah, the best way to describe it is I just felt like I was all over the place, right? I was just running and like people were running past me and running the other direction, which was great. And I mean, Eric obviously like understands how to like kind of play these kind of matchups and stuff like that. He's played a lot of them, played me before a lot. And then also, a lot of practice this week is what I hear.
Yep, there were a lot of games with Eckert in here. So it's funny, as we were talking last night, and Clinton Ian just jokingly, not playing any practice games with me, says Eric's going to put the Eckert in the back row. And actually, during testing, we did that because Eckert in the front row just always got nuked by Hokusai and would die round one. And so we started putting him in the back. And after I did that, I was like, why am I even bringing Eckert? So we switched to bringing in Korjov because he has more synergy with the rest of the blue.
He also brings better cards
for this matchup. I mean, I love Bewitch, and it could have done something here, right, to not have to go to round 3.
Yep.
But the shelters were pretty nice to just top my guys off round 1, so you only had one guy hurt at the end of round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that flip in the dome round 1 blind lead for 3 that killed me.
Super lucky. I got lucky.
I was hosed.
This is what I should have flipped. I should have flipped the that would have been more typical, but yeah.
I mean, if you had led from hand with a 1 or a 0, I was not going in dome. Like my whole plan was just stay out of dome, and I was like, man, that's a blind lead. I've got to go and try and take that outsider thing away. And I had to do blind lead because I mulliganed all 3 of my 3 costs because I'm like, my 3 costs don't matter. It's all about getting 2 costs, and I didn't draw any. And then Frail's like, I'm going to go in the middle and blind lead. And I'm like, man, no 3 costs for my deck. And I got it, but then you flipped your Unstoppable also. And I was like, okay, I guess that's fair-ish.
Yep. Good job, man. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right. So, Eric, you are on to the finals versus Doc Nica of Spain. And Clinton, you are on to face Zambo for 3rd or 4th place.
And I've talked to Doc Nica about possible scheduling, and so he's got a whole tournament today, but he might be playing at 8 p.m. Italy time with me if he's not too tired. Otherwise, we're going to play on Tuesday.
Awesome.
Very good.
And if Clinton wants to stay up till 2 a.m., he gets to play Zambo at that point, but I assume not, and he'll probably find another time to play him.
I'll have to reschedule at a different time. I don't know if I can stay up till 2 a.m.
I don't blame you.
This was definitely an exciting game to watch. I'm very glad that both of you guys had a path to victory, albeit a pretty bumpy one for most of you guys during the match.
It was close, right? I mean, I was 1 away and he was 1 away like twice, and then he, sealed it in with being able to. The Feather Storm was great, right? Like,
yeah. Ian and I were talking throughout the match of it. Just seemed like every single activation, the tides turned from one side of the map to the other.
Yeah.
And it was anybody's game at any point in time. So
I totally felt the same way. But yeah, with that Featherstorm, when he finally went after Korjov, I was like, oh, Clinton loves Featherstorm. It's going to be great to get him with Featherstorm.
Yep. Well, congratulations to both of you guys for making this far. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And Brandy, it was a blast getting to do this with you. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun doing it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, everybody in the chat, everybody watching, keep your eyes peeled on the Skytear Discord, as we will be letting you guys know as the top 3 game and the finals are scheduled, and we'll get them on stream for you guys. But